Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford, so grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to another episode of Just Minding My Business. I hope your day was full of joy. Coming to the mic today, we have Ruth Haskins, one of our very own members of a Sister Circle Empowerment Network, ASCEN LLC, and she's also the co-host of Just Minding My Business Radio, JMMB Radio. And Ruth is a voiceover artist and is the owner of RCH VoiceWorks. And in this capacity, she is the voice of ASCEN and JMMB Radio. Ruth is also the Power Play lady of the Power Play Reconnect Experience. Get it out. Okay. Ruth is also a Power Play lady of the Power Play Reconnect Experience. She is here to tell us how all of these avenues play into her belief that play is a vital tool for life. Well, welcome, Ruth, to the show.
Thank you.
I was getting all tongue-tied there.
It is a bit of a... to say, I've gotten used to saying it, so I kind of rolls off my tongue, but I understand.
Like power play.
Yes. Power play reconnect.
Yes.
So it's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me on to tell about everything. I'm so pleased to be a part of a Sister Circle Empowerment Network and to work so closely with you with JMMB Radio. It's been a real pleasure working with you.
Yes, indeed. I don't know what I'd do without you, Miss Ruth.
Well, it's a team effort, and it's paying off.
Yes, it
is.
Yes.
And it's always an exciting time. We never know what our conversation's going to turn out to be. And sometimes they are so exhilarating and full of information. We've had lovely, lovely guests.
Oh, absolutely. And I've learned so much. I mean, through the voices of all the different guests that we've had. Well, today we're going to focus on you.
Okay.
and the power play.
Yes.
So tell us how that experience came about.
It was a long journey, but I'll make it short. But I was going through a very difficult time in my life. I was living in a situation that was really not right, not pleasant. As a matter of fact, I was living in an abandoned house, and it was just a really interesting situation. Actually, the house was owned by friends. They were getting ready to flip it. They couldn't flip it, so they let me live there. And it was just a bad neighborhood. And I was working with a woman who actually was making her own hair care products. And something told me, oh, gee, maybe I could do something like that. And that's how I started soaping. And it was my means of playing while I was in that difficult situation. It gave me a relief to be able to create something. And then I discovered all about texture, and I discovered essential oils and different fragrance oil blends. And I started having a really good time. It was a way of playing. So that was my first understanding. And of course, I didn't see that until looking back. I recognized that that's what I was doing, and that it got me out of a situation, a mental situation in which I could have really gone downhill. But instead, it gave me something to do. And that play led me forward in my life rather than getting stuck. So that was the first time as an adult that I recognized how important play is for adults. And then fast forward many years, I'd say a good 10 years, I actually started my own soaping business. And that was very productive. And again, just really enjoyed creating Pioneer Sister Soap Company, enjoyed the whole process of making wonderful products, be it soaps or bath scrubs, what have you. And in the midst of all that, I read a book. It was called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And that book opened my eyes to the fact of how important creativity is, and that one of the gateways to creativity is through play. When we allow ourselves to play, to explore, to get outside of ourselves, all of a sudden different things start happening. We become more creative, we become more productive, and we realize that creativity is a natural offshoot of playing. So one year, it was 2016, April of 2016, I did my first workshop, and I had no idea of what I was doing. I just invited a few people. We got together and we played all day long. And we played with coloring books. We played with writing on the walls, not literally. I had brown paper up. But people, now you have a group of adults who from time to time, and I told them they had the right to get up at any time and go write on the wall. You have no idea how freeing that is as an adult. I can go right on the wall, and I can do it whenever I want to. And then we had different play sections. We took paper plates and we colored those and decorated them. And I call them name plates because they use their names. And then they decorated around their names. And we did a few other things that were just like, artsy craftsy, but they weren't. It was like real play. And I got to stand back and watch adults. There was no one in that class except one person. She was 16. And the rest of us were all adults, 40 and over, and I just watched them come alive. I watched these very somber, grown-up people who walked in and didn't know what was going on, and they were sort of like real toned down. About halfway through, they just lit up, and they started giggling and chuckling and telling their stories to each other. And it became was very powerful. And when I got through, there was one woman who had come. She was very, very sick. She had had congestive heart failure. And she told me, I really wasn't going to come today because I felt so bad. And she said, but I'm so glad I came. I feel 100, 1,000 times better. And you could see it. Her whole makeup had changed. So that's when I began with the power play. Whatever, it wasn't called that. I don't know what I called it. I just called it, I did. I had a name for it. A workshop on creativity, the other person in your chair, because that was one of our exercises, which I won't give away here, but it's a phenomenal exercise. It's just phenomenal. And the results from it, people just come out of themselves. And I really enjoyed it because of the feedback that I got, even months later, people telling me how that experience changed them. Some of them went on to write a book. Some of them started their own businesses. One person who really loved dancing went back to learn belly dancing, and she picked up the Turkish language. So, people just started doing things that they've always wanted to do, but they never were given the freedom to do it or the freedom to give themselves permission to do it. And I think that's what makes it so powerful, that I invite grown-ups to play, to really play. And once they start playing, they find out, this really feels good. It feels good. There are no rules. There's no restrictions. That's all I have to do is really have a good time and reconnect with who they are. And that's what I always found so amazing, to watch people reconnect, to actually find who they are. One woman, we were talking about our childhood, and she was real quiet, and the woman is wheelchair bound. And she was like, I never did anything. There was nothing I was really interested in. And everybody was kind of waiting because they knew something was going on. So we all kind of like jumped in and started feeling her out. And it was amazing. She said that her desire as a child was to become a violinist.
Wow.
And we asked, well, why didn't you do that? She said, because my family and everyone made fun of me. They said that, what's the purpose of you becoming a violinist? You know, she was a Black African-American child in Louisiana, and no one had faith in her. And every time I see her, I'm thinking, there goes a violinist. That's why I do this, because I don't want people to pass out of this world without being who they really are.
That's so true. Wow. That's an interesting story. And you never would think to connect playtime with creativity. But then when you really think about it, it does make sense, because when you watch kids when they're, in their play moment, and for example, coloring usually is it's a mess, but to them it's creativity, because they haven't learned to control the crayon yet. So it's just, back and forth, and they're just like loving life.
Absolutely. It's amazing. Color is so important, and that if they can't keep in the form, they will grab every color that's in there and try it. It's like, I'll try this color. I don't care which colors go together. I'm not trying to make a masterpiece. I just like the color. Right. And that's who we have to get to be as adults. That's the place we have to go back to, try to reconnect to, where we're so experiential, where we're willing to take risks. This has been years ago, and my niece and I often talk about it. She was going through a very difficult time as a child. Her mother had abandoned her. She's living with my aunt, and I came to see her, much to my auntie's dismay, because my auntie was very neat, all that kind of thing, very particular. And Tina and I were out in the backyard, and she had like a little garden, and so I joined her on the ground, and I asked her, I said, do you know how to make mud pies? And she was looking at me like, what? We made mud pies. I got some water, we got some sticks, and we stirred around that dirt and got our hands nice and dirty and made mud pies and decorated them with little stones or pebbles and sticks, whatever. A few years ago, mind you, she is much grown, much married, and has a blended family of 6 children. Okay, so is it 6 or 8? And she is a grandmother 3 times over. So this is a grown woman who's had plenty of things other in her life to do. And I brought that up to her. I said, do you remember when I came to Aunt Florence's house and we played outside in the mud? And she just lit up. She said, yes, I remember. It's one of my most cherished childhood memories. Wow. This is an adult. We so need those cherished memories, and we need to make them as adults. That's why I created the Power Play Reconnect Blueprint. Oh, experience. I changed it. It's experience. I'm just as bad. And I created the workshop to go with it. And now I also have a podcast that I do. So it's becoming a whole engine to teach people how to play and get back to themselves.
Okay. And we already identified that it helps you with creativity. Now, like for that person out there that might be hustle bustle 24/7, that's probably most of us. What are some of the benefits for that person that is always on the go and really never really gets to breathe?
That's an excellent question. And the way that I begin to answer that is, 1, make time to get quiet. Make time. If you only can get 10 minutes a day, make that time to go someplace, be quiet. If you're a person who prays, pray, meditate, read something really uplifting that will encourage you. There's so many good books out there that will do that. But make that time for yourselves, that 10 minutes, quiet time. I call it my quiet time. And in that time, you would be surprised that when you really use it, you really get quiet, you really get centered. When you come out of it, you feel refreshed. So that's one thing that I always suggest. That's always the beginning. The other thing is to find a way to play. If you have to, go get some adult coloring books. And if you don't want the adult coloring books, go get some children's coloring books, even better, because you feel silly. You really do feel silly. You're sitting there and you're going, I'm coloring Daffy Duck. Okay, it's silly. A little kid with a pail at the seashore, and color like a child. Don't try to make it perfect. Don't worry about the lines. Don't worry about the colors. Choose any crazy color that you want to. One of my favorites, I have a couple of favorites as far as people who are running around, because we all are, right. And we need to stop it. One of my favorite one is to suggest that you go out and buy a child's board game. Something like, one of my favorites is from Milton Bradley. It's called Trouble.
Oh, yeah.
And you pop, and pop around that board, that bubble.
Yes, I remember that game.
Okay, Chutes and Ladder, anything silly. Don't go get Monopoly or Battleship. Nothing serious. It has to be something totally ridiculous. Go get a Mr. Potato Head, for goodness sakes. And
remember that too.
And go invite some of your friends, your adult friends. Invite them over for a party night. Don't tell them what they're going to do. Just say, come on over. We're going to, play games. You may not even want to tell them that, because they may be like, games, I don't like to do that. But I'm here to tell you, when you all get together and you pull out a Mr. Potato Head and maybe a Trouble or Chutes and Ladder, Candyland, something crazy. What's the one with the doctor that you play doctor? And
I know which one you're talking about. I remember that.
Yes.
That one is.
And you have a bunch of adults who are coming to be all sophisticated and serious. Within a half an hour, you will all be rolling. You will be absolutely having the time of your life. And when you leave, you'll feel like, I feel refreshed. I didn't talk about politics. I didn't talk about what's going on my job. All of that just goes away, because when that part of you comes alive, when you can really laugh and laugh at yourself, laugh at others, laugh with others, you just come alive. You come alive. And that's what's so missing. Like you said, we're all running around. And if we could ever really see ourselves in motion, we would just be appalled, especially by the expressions on our face. And if we could feel the tension in everybody else's body and then recognize that we're holding that same kind of tension, you're talking about going to work and you have 30, 40, 50 people who are so tense that if you blow too hard on them, they'll fall into a million pieces, Play takes that away. I even suggest that, and it's happened in many European countries, and even here, more countries are taking on a culture of play in the workplace, because they realize that the creativity of play, the way that works out in the workplace, is more productive employees who have a freer mind. They're more relaxed. They go back to their desk smiling. Even this business about standing up at your desk, the raised desk now that they're talking about, that is really such a good idea, because it's freeing. All of a sudden, you're out of that little cube, and you feel free to move around. And a lot of people say that that's when they do their little wiggles. And I also suggest that if you can't do anything else, excuse yourself for a moment. Go to the ladies' room or the men's room and just jump up and down and giggle and wiggle until you feel better. And then come back in and be very somber and businesslike.
I love
But
it.
go out and get your wiggles and your giggles on.
Well, it doesn't take much for me. I love to laugh, always. And I am just really happy that we're talking about this. Just talking about playing has gotten me excited over here.
Good. That's what it should do. I'm glad. That's my whole purpose, is to get adults excited about playing. It's so much fun. It really is. And we have that right. In past times I've mentioned that we forget as we get older that every mammal plays. If you look into the animal kingdom, no animal will survive unless they play. Now, the young have to play to learn their survival skills and social skills, but that forces the adults to play to a certain extent too, because they're the ones who have to teach them. So they're active in that. They're active in, and sometimes we see, some real human things, like we see them nudging them along. We see an elephant grab their young one and push them along. We see all kinds of things. I love nature because it's such a great teacher. Even the colors. Look at the colors of some of the birds. Yeah. Who was playing when that went on? Who was playing when, the giraffe was created, that long neck, those long legs, and then you look at those beautiful eyes. There's so much we can learn looking in a field of wildflowers, all kinds of shapes and colors, fragrances all around us. That's play. And I always go back to the scriptural, at play in the fields of the Lord. It's where we learn how to play. I do believe that play is a God-given gift, and we're not supposed to stop playing till we stop living. It is a tool for life, and we need to play as adults, because if we don't play, our children don't play. And the saddest thing that I see is that so many children now don't play. They're too busy with their gadgets.
They don't play jump rope, hopscotch. I remember playing all those different games.
Yeah. Just getting out.
Sit on the step out there and play cars.
Yes. Yeah.
And
just so many things.
Funny, like a nice car would come by, and then whoever the next person was, a beat up car would come by. Oh, that's your car, and everybody would just bust out laughing.
There's so many ways, and children don't play like that anymore. They don't. And you go into a neighborhood and you just actually have to say, where are the children? It's so quiet.
Yes.
So quiet. And I've mentioned this before, during the holidays, Christmas, it used to be, we were up at 6:00.
Oh, yeah.
And then you opened your presents. You maybe had breakfast, but my mother made sure we had breakfast. And then you were out the door. And the neighborhood was alive. Everybody was calling out, wishing happy holidays, whatever. And the children are out in the streets showing what they got for Christmas and sharing. And you were taking things to other people's house. If you ran back inside, you knew you were going to be sent on an assignment. So you tried not to come back in, but you knew you had to go in because you knew that there was something that had to be carried to Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so down the block. But the neighborhoods were alive.
And everybody got skates. Remember?
Yes,
skates.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And now you go into a neighborhood on Christmas Day, it's dead silent.
That's the truth.
It's dead silent. There is no one. The children aren't outside. No one's greeting each other. And it's just weird. It's very weird. On that particular day, more than any other, to not hear children. That's the day, if you expect to hear children, you really do expect to hear children.
Yeah.
And nowadays you don't hear it anymore. They're all inside with their fingers. That's the only part of them that plays, are their fingers and their eyes.
Yes.
Like, you need to get up, move your body.
Yeah.
We've got to do it. If we do it, then they'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
So play is a passion for me. Even as I work with a sister circle and work with JMB Radio, that's all part of it. It's all part of that need to explore, create, And the more that I do it, the better it feels. It makes me feel good. Yeah, there's work to it. There's lots of forms of play. There's work to it. And I love it. I know we need to wrap up probably, but I wanted to share two of my favorite quotes. One is by Albert Einstein. He said that play is the highest form of research. And isn't that sweet? That's just a delightful thought. And this is coming from Albert Einstein. It's like, okay, I had to stop and think about that. But he's right. Because when I learned how to sew, that's what I did. I was playing. I didn't know what I was doing. I made messes. Yeah, I did. But it was phenomenal in the way I ended up feeling and the product that I was able to create. And I was able to create the product out of my joy. Mm-hmm. The other one is from Louis Armstrong. Someone interviewed him about his music. And they say, well, what, you have such an original sound. It's been there all these years. What is your music really about? And he said, what we play is life. Think about that. What we play is life. He was talking about music, but even when we play, that's what we're really doing. We're playing life. We are bringing our insides out to life, and we're taking life inside to ourselves. And when it all comes together, it's joyful. It's something that's productive. It's something that you can create out of. And it's something that you can share with others honestly, and that they can receive honestly because they know there's no strings attached. It's just that you are giving the life that's in you, and you're willingly sharing it with others. And so those are two of my favorite quotes.
Well, you've got me all excited. I'm ready to start playing. So what do you have cooking, Miss Ruth? What's coming up?
Okay, well, I do have my podcast, which I do every week on Anchor FM, and that is Anchor FM / Ruth 97. So that's going on. And then I also have a workshop coming up, and I believe that's going to be in April. I'm looking at April 26th and 27th. That is a Friday evening and then a full day on Saturday. And one of the things people get to do is play with their food and have a lot of other fun activities involved. Part of Friday night is about watching a movie that I will select, and it will have some sort of impact, and we'll discuss that, and it will be part of the theme for the entire workshop. So those are the things that I have coming up. Of course, there's more interviews on Just Minding My Business Radio.
Yes.
I'm working with another organization, SpeedyX, Warranty, and we'll be doing some of their voice work for them. And that's a phenomenal organization as well. You need to learn about that. Hop on over there to SpeedyX, My SpeedyX. Really a good organization headed by a very fine gentleman, Jonas Mervelis.
Absolutely.
And, so there are those things that are coming up. And I don't know what else is going to come up. There may be a book coming out at some point. I see that in the future. My background has been in dance. That's another way that I learned how to play growing up. So that is something that a book may be coming out of that experience as well. So there'll be something about play.
You just made me think about back in junior high school, I did modern dance. I remember the leotards. Really, really into that back then.
Oh.
I had forgotten all about that.
I'm going to tell you something. One of the reason I'm so jazzed is because, about a month ago now, my spiritual family put on a performance. They had a talent show. And somehow one of the younger members of my congregation dragged me into it. And I'm like, I don't know whether I want to do this or not. But I had the best time in a long time. And we did, the congregation is Yoruba. So it was an African dance.
Mm-hmm.
And we trained for that for a few weeks, and I had the best time. And as old as I am, I got off on that stage.
I just said you got off.
Yes, indeed. I didn't even know where it came from. It was like, when I came off the stage, I was like, "Ooh, where did that come from?" And I kept waiting for my body to hurt. It never hurt, what I want to share with you. If that was something that you loved, there are actually dance groups around everywhere where older ones are beginning to dance again. If they've had any kind of background in dance, sometimes you'll end up doing tap. This other woman I told you about, she just picked up belly dancing of all things. I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that."
I got too much of that. Be rolling around.
But you know what? It's such good exercise, and it's fun. And you're dealing with other women who are also not, we don't look like teenagers or models or anything, but it's like your body and your mind and your spirit come together. That's one of the things I love about play. Body, mind, and spirit come together. And one of the best ways to experience that, I believe, is through dance. Because once you're in and you're all in, you forget about everything that's going on around you, and you just get such a relief. When you get off that floor or off that stage or wherever, or out of the classroom, you're sweating, you're hot, you're tired, but you're also exhilarated.
Yes.
I don't ever see anyone come out of a dance class going, "Oh, I really feel bad." They're usually coming out and they're like, "Oh, I feel jazzed. Oh, yeah, let's go. What else can I do? I've got some energy there. Let's do it." So, and that's the power of play. That is the power of play. That's the way you end up feeling. Let me get up. Let me keep going. I can do this.
Yeah.
And I just like to see people in that frame of mind.
So how does our audience get in touch with you? Because I'm sure there's some organizations out there that might want to bring this therapeutic thing of play to their groups or senior citizens type situation. I'm sure we all need to play.
Yes.
We all need to play.
Mm-hmm. We do.
And so how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, well, there are a couple of ways. You can phone me at 443-290-7940 or 410-790-4985.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can email me at thepowerplaylady@yahoo.com. And then you can go to my website, which is thepowerplaylady.wixsite.com/powerplay reconnect. And sometimes if you just put in powerplay reconnect, it'll take you right there. Okay. And then you can go through and there's a place there where you can look at sign up for the workshop or ask for more information. Also my voice work is there in case you need a speaker for an event. That's the other thing that I do, is that I'm also a speaker. So, and I talk about play. That's what I talk about. Critical heart-centered play for grown-ups. So there are many ways for them to get in touch with me. And when you call, you can always call and leave a message or use my phone number and text me.
Okay, Ruth. I am that girl. You got me all happy. I'm ready to go play now. And
very good.
This around the holidays soon, I'll have my great grands, so I'll be running around with them, playing and falling all over the floor and being what you call it when they get on your back and you just
yes, you become horsey. Yeah. Oh, that's grand. That's excellent.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to experiencing your workshop because just talking about it, just feeling the energy from you, I'm ready to get started.
Okay. Well, I will keep you informed and we'll keep the listening audience informed once all the dates are set and everything is in place, because I would really welcome people to give me a call, to sign up for it. And if we have an overflow, because I try to keep the workshop small because it's very intimate. People are really talking and working with one another. Mm-hmm. If there's an overflow, I'll set up another workshop.
Okay.
Another workshop date. So, and it's not a fancy thing, so please do not come wearing your Prada and your Gucci. Come in some jeans and some things you may not mind getting some paint on or Play-Doh. Okay, enough said.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ruth. Much love.
Oh,
And
thank you.
we will be returning again and getting our play on.
All righty. I like that. Thank you so much for having me. I thank you very, very much for allowing me to be here. I appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. And I'm sure our audience are definitely thinking hard about this play thing and how important it is. So we appreciate the listening audience as well. Much love to everybody. And you have a wonderful day.
This show is brought to you by the amazing women of a Sister Circle Empowerment Network, ASCEN LLC, where we are never in competition, but always in collaboration, and our valued sponsors. Learn more about our sponsors and their services and membership in a Sister Circle, ASCEN LLC, at www.assistercircle.org. To learn about becoming a sponsor for Just Minding My Business Radio and how our marketing package benefits your company, please visit our website at www.assistercircle.org. Voiceovers by RCH VoiceWorks. Contact slvoiceworks8201 at yahoo.com or call 443-620-4115.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.